welcome again to Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott, and tonight we'll be talking about fit. Not are you fit or can you get fit, but what fits you. Our guests tonight, Todd, Nisha, Katti, both from Balodana, custom-made clothing for women. So Dana, you are the founder of this organization, so walk us through it. How did you come to create this entity?
I am, and first of all, thank you for having us here. We're delighted to be a guest on this show.
Absolutely.
We have some props, so we'll go into those later, because you can't talk about fashion without showing fashion.
Display fashion, right?
So you mentioned fit, and the idea behind Balodana actually came from my own frustrations trying to find clothing to fit. So a combination of me being an imperfect body, right? A mature body.
Dana, I've known you a long time. I've always known you to be the perfect person.
Thank you.
So.
But in the eyes of apparently in the eyes of the fashion manufacturing industry, I'm an outsider because I can go to a store and spend 2 hours trying to find something to fit, and I will not find anything to fit. And if it does fit me, it's probably not going to be very attractive. It's going to be very sort of loose and gross.
Loose and gross.
Loose and
That's
gross.
a very unappealing combination.
Very unappealing.
Good
And to be honest, the genesis, it actually came to a critical head. At first it was just annoying, right? Because
yeah.
this was starting to happen more and more. But the critical juncture for me happened when I changed my hair color. So you and I go way back. We have been friends since.
Back when we had much different
Yes,
color hair.
exactly.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And at the time, I've always had sort of rainbow-colored hair, blue and purple and red and pink and all sorts of interesting colors. But I decided to go natural and see what that looked like. And so in the same way as when you change your couch, now suddenly the carpet looks weird and you have to start changing everything else, I realized that none of the clothes that I had were really going to work with this. You know, it was just a little bit too sedate. And so I've always... I'm a kind of a personality person, so I
No one who's known you would ever guess that or say that about you, Dana.
and so I always like to, I have to have some kind of personal style. Either I'm carrying it in my hair or I'm carrying it in my clothes. And when I was no longer carrying the bright colored hair, I needed to have something that had a little bit more identity and interest to the clothing. And so what I found out there was that literally there were no choices for me. Not at high-end retail, not at low-end fast fashion, not at boutiques. And the few boutiques that I found that did find clothes that would actually fit my body, as I said, were sort of not very inspiring. So I was very frustrated, and I was pent up and not spending money. Like, as we found out, you know, something like $1 trillion is not spent in fashion because of fit. It's actually one of the 3 main things that are keeping about a $1.5 trillion of missed revenue opportunity in the retail industry.
So we could single-handedly jumpstart the entire American economy.
You got it.
Exactly.
You got it. Because I stumbled on a little-known secret. So I started on Etsy. And you can find amazing designers and clothing makers in all these other countries besides China, where we now get everything.
Yes.
Most of our clothing comes through China, where they have very excellent tailors in China, but the way we set up our pipeline, we're not getting their best work, and it's not making anyone happy.
Well, it's all about mass production in China.
Exactly, absolutely. So we can bypass, I found I could literally bypass the American supply chain and get directly to a producer who had amazing, this is actually one of them. So this is one of the designer I buy the most. It's, her name is Texo, she's out of Romania. And I bought a dress from her, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's cut exactly for my measurements, made for me. And it really changed my life. Really changed my perspective on things. Suddenly I felt a lot more confident. I started getting compliments when I was going out to places. I really felt like the old me again. I really felt like I had style again and not just clothes. and that mattered a lot. But what I didn't love about that whole thing is the experience of buying it, because you have to remember your measurements 20 different times. It's not unified. You've got somebody over here in Bulgaria, and you're trying to communicate with them, and you're going back and forth in all these different relationships. And there really wasn't anything that was a unified, simplified way to purchase. And so the idea of Balodana was simply like, what if I could recreate what I love about Nordstrom, right? Personal style, people who just give you a once-over and go, I got 7 outfits for you. Here, try on these. That kind of high-end touch with the convenience of Amazon, which I love also, right? So could I create high touch, but also one click? Could I combine those and make every single item on demand, custom made precisely to your measurements?
Sounds like a tall order.
It is a tall order.
That's
and
why we
nobody
needed
else,
you,
exactly.
right?
Nobody else has tried it but me. So that's very exciting.
Not to cut you off.
I'm done.
Yeah, but Nisha.
Yes.
So that's quite an opening.
Yeah,
How did you
yeah.
get drawn into this?
Yeah, well, interesting story and honestly very fortunate, but Dana and I were already working together at the time at a different company, and I have had a long-standing love for fashion, but it's always kind of been not very realistic or a little frivolous or whatever. So it wasn't something I had pursued, but in college had realized that there's this very real need around sustainability in fashion. And I came to realize just the really negative ramifications of the fashion industry on the environment and on labor markets. And so that was something that I had always kind of had on the back burner as this would be a really great thing to pursue in my career. And Dana and I both left the company that we were at before, and I asked her if I could come on board and start working for her. She was working on the initial business plans and the concept and all of that, and so I came on then because I really wanted to pursue what I saw as a very sustainable venture.
So what makes this sustainable?
So there's for those who don't know about sustainable fashion, it's a really diverse field. So sustainability in fashion is not just environmental sustainability, it's also ethical, ethical production and manufacturing. And so there's a ton of different companies that are doing this in different ways. You know, you have the companies who are trying to do sustainable textiles and produce organic cotton or, you know, linen and use things that are a lot less water consumption. You have companies that are being very, very transparent about their supply chains and all of that. So that's one aspect of what we do. We only work with designers who are able to explain to us exactly where they're getting all their materials and
who they're hiring.
Yeah. And we know that they're paying them a fair wage. They're
And
respecting.
how do you verify that? I mean, these are people who are located all around the world, right? So in Romania, for example, how would you know that they're telling you the truth?
So in many cases, we do Zoom meetings with them all the time. I've been to Romania and Moldova,
Yeah.
so I've actually seen. The other missing piece of this is when I was doing the research to figure out the project, I went to Romania and Moldova, and at that time it was just a napkin sketch of an idea. And by the time I left, I had 4 designers signed up and ready to go. So I had met all of them. I had seen the people. I had seen their workspaces. So I feel really good about that. And we also, for the others, I mean, I do Zoom meetings with Bulgaria, Israel, and most of these are small businesses. They're typically women-owned, and they may be a single provider who's the designer and the maker, et cetera. Or they may have a small shop where they have a couple of assistants helping them with pattern the cutting and piecing it together. But yeah, but we're not dealing with someone who's then turning around and outsourcing it to a sweatshop. So these are very much on demand. So the other part of the sustainability is we're not making 10,000 versions of everything. So there's no waste, no waste in the process whatsoever. And the people that we work with, we share the same vision as them. They talk about it, like we have a person we're bringing on now in Israel, and she works with linen, and she looks for ethically sourced linen and make sure that it's low. She uses that because you don't have to wash it as much. Linen doesn't get dirty as often.
So again,
If it's
even
the
less
real
water.
thing, right?
Yeah, if it's the real thing, right. So there's a lot of thought process going into everything down into the threads, and from most of the people that we work with, they're really concerned about the environment and certainly with ethical. And by the way, in Europe, the labor laws are tougher than the U.S. So yeah, there's not a lot of sweatshops there. They really have to treat them much better than we treat our employees,
Right.
frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of, as we're saying, going around the supply chain that we use right now and having this more European supply chain. It's very different.
Yeah.
And it's European, Eastern European, Western European. It's
Yeah,
all
and Middle East.
continent.
Yeah.
And they're finding it. We started out, we were recruiting people, but now they're finding us. So
Right.
we're getting folks from all over the world. It's very exciting. We
Yeah.
actually just signed somebody from London. So
Yeah.
Oh, that little backwater.
Yeah. Heard of that? Have you heard of that?
I did. Rings a bell. Yes, I think I know something about it. So, how do you grow the business? Right now, it's primarily the two of you. But how do you scale up?
We have big plans for that. So there's a bit of a long sales cycle with this. So it's not like something that's an impulse purchase, like, oh, I'm going to go get that made. Now, we want to enable that impulse purchase. Because one of the very first things you need to do is get your measurements. So either you measure yourself or you have a friend measure you, or in a perfect world, you go down to your local tailor or dry cleaner and have them work you up a set.
Well, I think you can, can't you do that at Nordstrom? And they'll measure you, right?
just get your data. And bring it home.
Yeah, just get
totally,
it and then you have it, right?
Exactly.
You can. It's really not that hard, but most women don't think about it. They don't access their own data. They don't own their own data. They just don't. They don't for some reason. We'd like to change that because, frankly, once you're done with that little 20-minute exercise, you enter it into our system, you're done. From that point on, you don't have to look at it, just click the button and we'll use your measurements and make
So do you walk people through on where they can go to get their measurements or how to measure themselves if they're going to do
Absolutely,
it?
yeah. We have a little guide. It's got little pictures of everything that we need.
Right,
you
and
know,
tell them,
so.
like, don't lie.
Don't,
Yeah.
Tell us really what
it's just
what
going to
look
hurt
like.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, give yourself
Right.
a little cheat in case
Yeah.
you get that 5-pound swing.
Yeah.
But in terms of customer acquisition, so my background is marketing, particularly digital marketing, and Nisha's our marketing lead. So I don't know, Nisha, how are we going to grow the business?
How are we going to grow the business?
Over to you,
I was like, don't
Nisha.
ask that question.
Take that ball.
Yeah, we have a couple. I mean, obviously, in this age of social media and digital, so we're doing all of the normal social media. So our social media followers are going to be paying attention to this.
That's who we're posting this. We're gramming you
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Okay.
We're doing that too. Do we want to talk about the Taylor Network though? Because
Yeah.
I think that's one of the coolest
I think we should.
ways that we're so. This is something that's largely lost now in the U.S., but still exists in a lot of different countries. Is your relationship with your tailor, right? So back in the days, it was called the dressmaker. Our tagline is to bring back the dressmaker. Or reinvent the dressmaker reinvented. So we kind of want to create this relationship with your tailor. You go to your tailor to get your measurements done, but you also just really trust your tailor. So we'd like to. You were asking how we're gonna help women with their measurements. So we're gonna create a tailor network where we get women to. When they go meet their tailors are connected to our Balodana partner network. And their tailors then give them this information that there's, Balodana, and that's a resource that you trust, right? Your tailor, and kind
So
of
this
getting
is
the
kind
word
of
of mouth.
It's a feedback loop, right? So
It
I
is.
find a tailor through
Yes.
you, but then the tailor knows about Balodana.
Exactly.
And so you promote each other, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm
Exactly.
looking for a tailor, I can go to your website and find one.
Yes.
Or I run into a tailor and the tailor says, hey, by the way, there's this really cool
Absolutely.
online clothing
Yeah.
shop you
Yes.
should check out.
Yeah.
Because the very idea for us, so we're the antithesis of fast fashion. We are slow fashion. And part of slow fashion is not just things coming to you slowly, but it's the very idea of getting back in touch with the humanity of your clothes, right?
Yeah.
It's the humans who made it for you initially.
Yeah.
It's the tailor who helps tweak it if you need a little fix, if it isn't quite right, or if you gain a little weight, or if you lose a little weight, right? Your tailor is going to be the person who helps you turn a throwaway purchase into a lifelong piece that you really love. I mean, once upon a time in this country, we bought clothes for life. And it's funny,
Clothes
actually,
lasted for life. But
Right.
exactly. I mean, here's a little tidbit for you. Prince Charles, who has lots of money,
yes.
has the same suits that he's had basically his entire adult life. He gets them repaired. He does not throw away his suits. So he has marvelous, beautiful bespoke suits. And all of his tailors keep extra bits. They have like 40-year-old bits of fabric for him that if he needs a little mend or whatever,
Yeah.
they will mend it. Because there's a commitment to not just throwing things in the bin. Because
But also to high quality to begin with.
Yes.
exactly, exactly.
And something that grows with you and moves with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. In fact, I have an Irish wool sweater
Yeah.
that I've had for almost 50 years, and it has never developed a hole or a pull
Right.
because it was made
Yes.
to last 50 years.
So
Exactly.
the other aspect of this is the creation of a personal style too, and a personal brand, right? Prince Charles, or he's able to do this because he has this style, and that's also a thing we want to enable, is that there's a lot of women who don't know what their style is, and they're not able to find it. As you were talking about earlier, there's not the options to figure that out. And so enabling women to find that personal style, then you can keep pieces for longer, because it's what
It's what- it fits you-
It speaks
it-
to your soul.
Yeah.
It's who you
Disposable.
are.
It's not
fits you
this season.
in every every way that you can think of the word fit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? It fits your soul, fits your style, fits your personality,
Body.
fits your body.
Exactly.
Speaking of personal style, though, we have all this style
Yeah.
arrayed all
We
around
have
us.
a lot of stuff.
So,
Yeah.
Nisha, why don't you get up and
Yeah.
Well, actually, first I'd like to mention, so we've been talking a lot about Europe, but I want to mention that we actually have brought some pieces from a local Chicago atelier. So we have American designers and manufacturers as well, and we have a very talented designer here in Chicago named Anastasia Chatska, and Nisha's actually wearing one of her
I am.
gorgeous couture pieces.
Lucky enough to be.
Yeah, so Nisha's going to do a little walk around here. Do twirl, it's so beautiful. So this is, it's natural organza, and you can see it's got hand beading, the hand beaded work. All of this is done by hand. Everything's stitched by hand. She does everything custom made to measure, and all made in her shop and made in Chicago.
Yeah.
We also have this piece here is another one of hers as well. So this piece is obviously not for, you know, wearing around the office necessarily.
Depending on what the
but
office you work
again,
in, yes.
working with the natural fabrics, the level of detail and the level of styling. If you look at the stitch work here, it's just gorgeous. This is not the kind of stuff you're going to get down at H&M, right? And obviously it's not going to cost $29,
Right.
but it's the type of thing that you're not going to be the fourth person at the party wearing it either. So these are investment pieces that you'll have the rest of your life. Now we also have very low cost things. Believe it or not, the one I'm wearing was not that expensive. It's a beautiful custom made, it's made of neoprene. I actually told her I wanted neoprene. I'm like, I'm in love with neoprene. Can you make me something with
So
neoprene?
you can go scuba diving in this afterward,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So I wanted something that is very comfortable, and the price point on this is considerably lower. So Nisha's going to maybe pull off a few things here and bring them out for the cameras if they can see.
Let's do this cool little text
Yeah, so
number.
I'm waiting for the weather to get a little warmer here, so I can see. So this is another neoprene. I'm totally in love with neoprene.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I can,
so these are
here,
actually
I have to be able to feel
yeah,
it.
so you
That's
see it's got a
cool.
little stretch
Yeah,
to it,
yeah,
and if you're a little heavier like me, what it does is give you structure without being too tight or constricting, and so I can still feel comfortable in it, but it's not
But
floppy.
it gives some form. It's not
Yeah,
just
and
a,
it's got cool details. It's got these kind of weird, I don't know what these things are, but you know, it just,
Wings,
yeah, and it's
right.
got these great, great angles and stuff, so it gives you a lot of play in your wardrobe, and it doesn't feel frumpy at all.
Actually, and I've noticed that about the item that you're wearing as well. They're very asymmetrical angles.
Exactly.
Right? If you stand
So
up,
that's
and you
my
see,
trick. That is my
Yeah.
trick. So if you're a little heavier like me, so I'm a little bit heavier than Nisha, I like to wear things that are asymmetrical and have a lot of angles. So the angles sort of, you know, take your eye to the movement and away from my waistline.
Which, though, at our age, we can be a little proud of all those
You know,
little
I'm
extra
me.
waistline,
I've
right?
decided I'm me, and that's going to have to be the way I am. So I could just find wonderful pieces like TXO who care about me. This piece here, actually, this is fun. I want to show you. So the other thing I love to do, and this could do anyone of any size can work with a system like TXO. So she's got a series of these caftans. They're very sheer, as you can see, but you get underneath what you get made is like a little custom tube, basically. It's a little tube dress that fits underneath it. So the customization is in your length, so how tall are you? And then you've got this little piece here that you get cut for length. So if you're modest, you might want it longer. If you're breasty, you'll get it cut to
Accentuate
fit,
that, or,
right?
you know.
So then this becomes the thing you wear underneath it. It's super comfy. It feels like you're wearing your jammies. But then you can throw on all these beautiful layers, which are sheer, and they give you a little sexiness, right? A little
Well, and the
sexiness
sheerness
and
of
flow.
it adds sexiness, but also adds lightness.
Exactly.
Right?
So
it
this
it
one,
seems featherweight.
yeah, so this one I actually wore to the Peabody Awards last year. I might wear it again, you never know. So it's got, again, more movement, right? So we've got this beautiful, this is silk fringe. And it's beautifully made,
I love the feel of
all
that.
handmade. And the flow that you get, so when you're wearing that little thing underneath it, you've got this sheer, you can actually see a little bit of the under thing, so it looks revealing without being revealing. So if you're a modest person, you don't really want to be showing a bunch of skin, you can wear something like this and still feel very elegant and very, very comfortable at the same time. So we work with designers who can work with all types of bodies, because we want to We want to fit skinny people, tall people, short people, large people.
Small people.
Exactly. Can you bring out the coat? Yes. So this, I want to see this beautiful coat. So you mentioned wool and gorgeous fabrics.
Yes.
Really, this piece was actually a gift from one of our designers in Moldova.
I need to stand up here so I
Yeah,
can actually
let's
see
play
this
around.
stuff better.
So I just want you
right?
to like see the
So,
detail here and feel the lining on that and the stitching and how heavy the wool is on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
it's
would
a
keep you
subs-
warm even in
Yeah,
Chicago.
it's a very substantial coat, and all the stitching is done by hand. So these types of details are not really easily available now.
But something like this, can the average buyer afford this, or do you have to like
absolutely.
sell your Mercedes to get
Absolutely.
a down payment?
Now this one came from Moldova, which is one of the poorest countries in the world.
So we're
So-
exploiting them to get.
No,
No,
they need
no,
jobs. They need
right.
jobs, and they have access to beautiful fabrics. So it's just a different economy. So for them, this piece might run. I mean, it's not $29.
No,
It's going to be
no.
probably in the $200 to $300 realm, but that's not outrageous for a custom-made,
And for a heavy
beautifully
winter
tailored
coat
piece.
that will keep you warm here.
Exactly, and this is
Yeah.
a lifer. This is something I'll
Yeah.
have the rest of my life.
Right. And speaking on our prices in general, like
Yeah.
it's not, everyone thinks that custom means that's automatically
Hugely
more
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not
thousands
true.
and thousands.
Not necessarily true.
No, that blouse is $50.
Wow.
Yeah, not this one. That
No,
one.
no, the one we can't touch. The
No,
one
you
that's in
can't
the
touch.
poster.
Yeah,
Right.
no, we have items starting at $50. We have custom-made bras starting at $40.
I'm in need of a custom. but I'm sure that
Oh yeah, occasions. Yeah, so work and special occasions. We've been doing a lot of special occasion stuff, but people need work clothes too. So something like this would work very well for an office, and even a standard, your basic custom-made skirt and top. So this piece, this is the local designer Anastasia Chaska as well. So these
this
are two
is
of her
gorgeous.
pieces.
I love this
Yeah.
fabric. This is
Yeah.
really
Again-
cool.
This is natural.
Yeah.
This is wool.
And just the color and just the way the pattern kind of jumps out at you
Yeah.
without being obtrusive.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Having that texture, but still
Yeah.
being more classic, still being more conservative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Can you make me a suit out of this?
Very likely,
at least a sport
I
coat,
think
right?
I don't know. Does she do menswear? Maybe. I think she does. The cool thing is that with Anastasia, so she's a true bespoke type of tailor. So you could go say, I want something that you've done that's made to measure that you've already done. But if you had an idea, you could go to her, and they would create what's called a muslin, which is just your shape in a muslin fabric, and design anything you want from the ground up. Sky's the limit, and it would be made exactly for you. So
what's
that's
the-
called bespoke.
as which I used to call bespoke.
Bespoke,
I
yeah.
thought, oh, it's like spokes on a wheel.
Yeah.
So
So this one's about, I think this was 150. So
yes, these all seem
very
very
reasonable.
affordable.
Yeah, very
right.
affordable.
So what is you mentioned there was a long sales cycle, but if someone were to come in and order a piece from the website,
Yeah.
what could they expect in delivery? Weeks,
It depends.
months?
It depends. We have one designer here who's in Atlanta, and hers have actually.
Have a
Are we
seat.
done?
Really? Make yourself at home. Yeah.
We have an Atlanta designer, and she turns things out in 7 days flat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like a blazer, like a custom blazer. I know that the Romania stuff, I usually get mine in about 2 weeks, unless it's something particularly weird.
Well, that's
that, you know.
eminently reasonable.
Absolutely. So we say slow fashion, just setting, I mean, now we have the Amazon model, right? If you're used to Amazon Prime, you get it 2
48
days,
hours.
1 day, something
And
crazy.
honestly, who cares? I mean, really, do you really need it tomorrow?
Most of us
Exactly.
are not in that big a hurry.
A lot of us need to remember that we're not in that much.
Yeah.
What are you in a hurry for?
Right.
Yeah.
I ordered a bunch of T-shirts lately, and they showed up the next day. I'm like, I really did not need them
Not fast.
tomorrow.
Thanks, I
but-
appreciate it, but
Thanks, but yeah.
Exactly.
They could have gotten here next week. I would have been fine.
Right.
And for special occasions, most people know about that as a long time in advance. And I
Absolutely.
mean, well, so for example, if you're doing a bridal gown, a bespoke bridal gown, you will typically wait a year for those.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's a very different animal altogether.
Now, do you trade in that area as well?
Not yet. It's something that we have our mind on for the future, but for right now, we feel like the bigger opportunity for us is honestly stuff that people are going to wear every day. Things for work. I mean, this is the biggest need. You get married once, hopefully.
Right.
As a friend of mine said, you'll only do this 3 or 4 times. So you may as well get it right.
And
you
you're
know.
probably not going to wear the same dress twice.
Yeah, no,
so,
I know,
yeah.
I know, right, right.
Yeah, but we definitely want to generate this idea that custom doesn't have to be for special occasions only, right?
Yeah.
It should be, you deserve to look amazing and perfectly fitted every day of your life if you'd like to.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
So why is that not a norm?
Oh, this little stripy piece here.
Yes.
I wear this thing all the time. It's like a t-shirt. I wear it. Actually, I'm hoping that one of them comes up with some custom-made t-shirts because I want a whole bunch of custom-made t-shirts.
Right.
We really want to democratize this and flatten the entire supply chain down so it's direct to consumer. Because you think about it, you are putting more money directly into the pocket of this woman entrepreneur and not into 7 different layers of markup, right?
Right.
You are
right.
enabling small businesses here in the U.S. and all over the world. So you're really doing it's good for everybody when you do it this way.
Hold that thought. So we're about out of time here. So I want to know, what should someone do who wants to be fashionable right now? Go to your website,
Go to
get
ours.
started,
Yes.
get measured,
Yes.
and start to see what's going
Get
on.
measured. The key to what we're calling the cult of custom. If you want to join the cult of custom,
Yeah.
all you have to do is get your measurements. That's all.
And then you're in.
You spend
You're
20
part-
minutes getting your measurements, you are done. You
part of
can
the
get one of
club.
those fancy apps
Yeah.
if you want.
Right. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect on any e-commerce
Yeah.
site.
But fill out your profile at balodana.com.
Balodana.
Balodana.
Yes.
B-A-L-O-D-O. God, now I can't even spell it. B-A-L-O-D-A-N-A.
Say that fast 5 times.
Balodana.com.
Yeah.
And fill out your profile there. Actually, you don't even have to do too much. When you go check out, we'll tell you which measurements we need. Those will automatically save to your profile, so the next time you come back, we'll remember them for you.
How cool is that?
I know, it's so easy.
Yeah,
It's so much fun, too.
It
And by the way,
is.
we have style concierges who can help you. If you can't quite figure out what you want, Kevin, we'll work with you. We've got
Really?
style
Really?
concierges.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
find
you
you
know,
that perfect dress.
I'm pretty
we
picky,
will.
you know. Yeah.
We'll
I
help.
don't accept just anything.
We got you covered.
Yeah, yeah. Literally covered.
Literally.
I can get it.
With organza.
And
And maybe
neoprene.
neoprene if you like
Yes.
neoprene. You could be
I-
like
I'm
me.
actually,
It's
it's
great
growing
for
on me.
Chicago weathers, man. No wind's getting
Yeah.
through that.
Oh, yeah. And it's somewhat water resistant as well.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, I can go in a
Right,
rainstorm.
right.
No problem.
Okay, well, on that note,
Yeah.
we're about out of time. So I hope you will come back and regale us again with
Yeah.
tales of future success.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for having us
Oh,
on
it's
the
been a
show.
blast,
It's been a
yeah.
blast.
Yeah, and I love your stuff. So
All right. Well, come shopping with us.
Thank you.
I will. All right. So thank you for joining us once again on Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott. You can find us every Saturday night at 8 on Comcast Channel 19, or find us on the web at publicperspective.tv. So till next time, thank you and good night.